WikiLeaks have done it again, and they have just released a final chapter of the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, this free trade zone comprised of 12 countries that are trying to negotiate the future of trade in the world, Nick. This is big news because exactly this chapter covers internet services, medicines, publishers, civil liberties, even biological patterns. So it's really, really important that we, start to learn what all this secret is about, because it's been 12, almost a decade of negotiations done completely under secrecy.
Right, so it affects basically everything is what you're saying. No, and one thing we do know is Obama's taking a lot of credit here. He's kind of been saying, I did so much work, I really made this come about. And another thing that he's really stressing is that not only is this a good trade opportunity for America and the other countries involved, but also it's strategic. What he's saying is it's preventative. If he doesn't take advantage of this, if these countries don't do it now, then China's going to be the one to bring everyone together. And Lord knows, we don't want them to be more powerful than
us. And that's what they're saying. The TPP is free trade, setting standards all across these countries that comprise 40% of the trade, of global trade, say, we're going to set the standards. But there are a lot of critics saying, wait a minute, there's a lot of things in this trade that we don't like. One of them being the power of big pharma to retain patent on medicines for longer periods of time. Then for these developing countries, the prices of medicine will skyrocket. Just the prediction is that, let's say, HIV treatment that in Vietnam right now, a month there is like about $100, $105. With the TPP kicking in effect and the patent that these big pharma companies will retain, this treatment will skyrocket to $600 a month. So it's like a 600% increase. That is really, really a big hike for these developing countries. But that's not the only thing that could happen. Another thing that is really, really important that we take a good look at is the investors' state dispute settlements. And this is a private secret court where a corporation can actually sue a country for the laws that they make. Saying you're a tobacco company. Right. And you, as a country, decide that we're going to enact an anti-smoking bill because we've seen that is, in creating a lot of public health issues. Well, the tobacco company can go to the settlement court and say, I lost a lot of money, and because we are all subscribed to the TPP, you are liable to pay me back those earnings that I didn't make because of your legislation. So now we're seeing that corporations have a hand upon the policy in each country, which is very dangerous.
Well, of course. Well, look, you're always going to have good and bad. I mean, it's impossible to have the perfect deal, right? And we're talking about 12 different countries. It's impossible to make everyone happy. Now, I'm sorry if I sound insensitive, but that's just the way it is. Not everyone is going to be happy, but at the same time, I think this is a really good deal for us here back at home in the U.S., and I think we couldn't ask for something better for this time right now.
But, in some extent, that is a correct assumption, because all the exporting that is going to be open to the United States is the biggest sale point that Obama has been pushing. We're going to be able to open a whole new sector of exporting goods to countries that in the past have been putting a lot of obstacles for us to send our products into those countries. But on the flip side, there's one thing that is also of concern is the quality of the food, because now we're going to have to adhere to the lowest common denominator of food safety and food standards across the region. And we're talking about a really diverse group of countries that go from the most developed countries to some that are really early in their development. So that's something that we need to look at. And also the secrecy, the fact that we don't know, we know a little bit, thank you to WikiLeaks, but we really don't know what is being negotiated, what are the terms, what are the consequences if you break these terms, the enforcement. So there's a lot to be known, and some will say that it will take at least 4 years because of another leak saying that the Australian government asked for all the negotiation logs, and they say, yes, we'll give them to you only if you sign a waiver saying that you won't release any of this information publicly until 4 years from now.
And I want it to be clear that every change that is going to take place because of this is not going to happen right away. Exactly. This is a long-term plan, so a lot of people are kind of saying, oh, this is for Obama's legacy. He wants to kind of help out his legacy in the long term, but in response to that, he kind of said, no, this is about the legacy of the U.S., not about me as a person. So.
Exactly, and still, there will be a long, long time before this is a final deal. Every country has to bring this text that is still secret to each of their Congress to be approved. And once every country has approved that, like in fast-track motion, like here in the United States, then they will be able to finalize this deal and make it official. Until then, we'll be reporting on the latest developments of the TPP. Share your thoughts below. And if you haven't, please subscribe to the Lib TV.